This is getting big, guys. The tornado's getting bigger.
You have to go to your safe spot right now. Tornado on the ground.
We got a very large funnel.
It really, really helped us, help Oklahomans get better warning. It's what we call a smart radar. It's learning after every event.
You can see Greenfield on Street Scope.
We can say exactly what road, what intersection we're over, and we can show it to the viewer.
We're out there trying to save lives. We're out there to give accurate weather information to keep your family safe.
Ahead of the storm, presented by Oz Safe Rooms.
Oklahomans know severe weather. And as spring approaches, News 9 wants to keep you ahead of the storm. Good evening. I'm Chief Meteorologist David Payne. News 9 has the largest team of meteorologists and storm trackers in the country to keep you and your family safe. Plus the most advanced technology with the only live 1 million watt dual pole radar in the entire state. We'll dive more into that in my tornado forecast in just a few minutes. But first, let's talk about a storm that touched all of our lives. It will be 5 years ago this May, an EF5 tornado barreled through Moore, leaving 24 dead, including 7 children at Plaza Towers Elementary School.
Violent rotation around this tornado.
May 20th of 2013 was really a day I'll never forget.
We knew it was going to be bad.
We could see the funnel right behind that barn.
It was maxed out. It was huge.
We could actually feel the ground shaking where we were at.
I've never felt anything or heard anything like that in my life.
We watched the storm as it was coming at us.
This thing is coming. Oh, my goodness.
I saw so many homes and neighborhoods on the map, and my heart just sank.
Oh, it's elementary school. School's letting down.
We could just see debris in the air.
We're getting hit by debris here.
As I went into the Briarwood school area, it was mass chaos. Just leveled homes. Lots of cars flipped, trees stripped of their bark, debris thrown into homes.
That's probably the 4th F5 we've seen, and I don't think I want to see another one.
One of the worst experiences of my life.
That tornado hit home, literally, for the News 9 storm trackers, Hank and Patty Brown. In the afternoon of May 20th, 2013, that massive storm leveled the neighborhood where the Browns grew up.
5 years later, they take us back to that moment and show us the community's rebirth.
It's crazy to see all these houses so different and everything's built.
The last time storm trackers Hank and Patty Brown drove through this Moore neighborhood, it was unrecognizable.
So it was a tough day. It was very real. Still, you know, just kind of burns an impression into you.
Because this neighborhood took a direct hit from the 2013 tornado. They were chasing another storm that day when they heard,
This thing is on 149th Street. It's right in front of us.
And I looked at Patty and I said, it's bad. This is coming right towards the neighborhood where my mom lives, her sister lives, our friends live, the neighborhood I grew up in.
With the tornado barreling toward Moore, Patty got on the phone to warn her mom and sister.
It was just very stressful, and I don't know 100% where they are. They're scared. Plus, I have our kids in the car.
Cameron, who was 10, and Ashley, who was 18.
On the little TV in the truck, a picture or a video of the tornado popped up. And that's when I said, I don't want Grandma to die.
And then all of a sudden, like, the tone in the truck just changes, because all of a sudden, this isn't just excitement and fun anymore. This is like people's lives, and it's our family, and it's real.
Especially her cousin Samantha, who was a 6th grader at Plaza Towers.
I was in my math class, and my phone started going off like for severe weather.
She was checked out before the tornado hit the school.
I didn't expect that to be the last time I ever stepped foot in that school.
Once the tornado passed, Hank and Patty learned their families were safe, but they weren't prepared for the devastation the tornado left behind.
When we walked around the corner, and it was like obliteration. Everything is just in a pile of rubble.
Samantha only found her cheer uniforms. She lost her home and 7 students from her school.
I just think it was probably one of the roughest experiences.
5 years later, the city of Moore recovers.
Nice to see how beautiful the neighborhood is now.
The school's bigger and better than it ever was. To see this whole neighborhood rebuilt, you know, it's just a testament to the Oklahoma spirit.
Right now, we're just a few miles north of Newcastle.
I remember that day like it was yesterday.
Look at the wall cloud developing now.
All the signs were there. It was going to be a big and probably a bad day. And I remember getting out of this truck and looking up, and I could see the updraft, and I could see it, and I had that horrible, horrible feeling in my stomach like, oh my gosh, this is not good. And I knew it was spinning really, really fast. It's just doing this. It's just growing, growing, growing.
That is a violent tornado.
There was about a 30-second point in there where I was a little nauseous because I knew that the size of the tornado at this point.
It's every bit of a half mile, maybe a mile wide.
And I knew that really it would take nearly a miracle for this thing to stop.
It's getting ready to cross Pennsylvania south of 134th.
I know where it's going. I know the neighborhoods. I know the streets it's going to cross.
You've got to go below ground. This is a killer tornado. We have debris being strewn out everywhere.
I mean, you hope and pray that everybody's listening, that they're in their safe spot.
Right now, I'm at 134th. It's a half mile south of me. EF4, possibly an EF5.
I chased literally thousands of storms over 25 years of everything from not too severe
You just crossed I-35
to the worst storms on the face of the planet. Being in the field all those years, seeing what I saw.
This is going to be a big tornado, folks.
I've just kind of brought that into the studio.
The heartbreak felt across Oklahoma after the Moore tornado led to a call for change.
And school districts across the state are turning to voters for funding to build storm shelters and keep children safe.
Some of us had to go into the bathrooms because that was the innermost part of the building.
But this storm season, more than 800 elementary school students in Elk City can take shelter in this brand new state-of-the-art 5,000 square foot safe room.
When you think about having somebody's heart and soul in this classroom, 21 of them, and nowhere to go, it's important.
The lead architect on the project says it can withstand 250-mile-per-hour winds.
Does that look like a school to you?
Yes, it is.
Keeping students safe became a priority in Oklahoma after the deadly 2013 Moore tornado hit at the end of the school day. The destroyed schools were rebuilt to include storm shelters, but the district's plan didn't stop there.
And it's actually a breakaway shelter. We shut the doors, and of course, if something were to happen, that building would remain standing. So it's a huge peace of mind.
Last fall, Moore High School's new shelter was completed and can fit 2,600 people. It was funded by a $209 million bond, which will help put storm shelters inside all 35 schools.
It is a very large storm shelter that can house over 800 people.
In Edmond, voters said yes to more than $200 million in school bonds to pay for shelters in all 27 schools and other improvements across the district.
If a school needed a gym or a media center or classrooms, those spaces will be built, but they'll be built as shelters.
Giving teachers, students, and their families peace of mind with tornado season right around the corner in Oklahoma.
You know, we talk a lot about tornado precautions. Knowing where to go can mean life or death. Getting in a car to get away from the storm, it's very, very dangerous. Meteorologist Matt Mahler explains.
2011, Joplin, Missouri. 2013, Moore and El Reno. All areas hit by deadly tornadoes. But they all also had one surprising fact in common, an overall high survival rating.
Most of the people who even are involved in that tornado don't experience the worst of the damage.
That's why experts say the best place to be during a tornado is sheltered inside your home and not out on the road.
Now this tornado is only about a quarter mile west of that road right there.
But that's exactly where thousands of people ended up during the 2013 Moore tornado.
Those people need to get out of there.
Stuck in a massive traffic jam along Santa Fe, west of I-35.
The National Weather Service surveyed over 4,000 structures that were in the tornado's path. Of those, only 9, or 0.2%, experienced EF5 damage. 68% of the damaged structures were only EF0 or EF1.
Even in the worst of the damage, in the F4 and F5 portions of the damage path, 98% of people survived in well-built homes.
Now, if you live in an apartment building or mobile home, you need to have an alternate place to shelter and get to that shelter before the warning is even issued.
Will we see an active tornado season this spring? My tornado forecast coming up. Plus, a behind-the-scenes look of how the News 9 weather team keeps you safe in severe weather. And still to come, never-before-seen video of the deadly Elk City tornado.
With StreetScope, it's all incorporated into the camera system. It has what they call geo-tracking in it. We have to give it a heading on the ground. When it's aligned, we lift off and we go. Before we even get there, it puts up all the streets.
It appears he may be picking up speed here now, Alex.
We can pop up an actual speedometer. You can see as the car slows down, speeds up, you can see the actual speed of the car.
You see the leading edge of that storm?
When we get a tornado on the ground, I can be in a hover and then it'll track it. So it'll kind of show us the speed. We can actually bring this ruler up on the air and it will tell us the exact distance from where that one point is to another point. In a severe weather event, say somebody's house got hit. Say emergency personnel was trying to find it in a very rural area. We can find a road, and then we can actually lay that ruler from there to where the house is. We're still learning. There's so many things that StreetScope can do.
Jim Garpoint live for Bob Mills, Sky News 9. Back to you.
State-of-the-art technology keeps our storm trackers and meteorologists ahead of the storm. News 9 has the most powerful million-watt dual-pole radar in the state. This is a live radar. No delays in what you see on the air. Let me show you what it can do. You know, last spring was really kind of the first big workout with it. 60 to 70 to 80 mile per hour winds, trashing Norman right now. We were just touching on the screen what those wind speeds were. 79.5, 66, this is live, okay? This is not delayed. You go back and look at May 16th, tornado on the ground right here. It was coming into Elk City, and the data that we're able to see as far as the rotation, the wind speeds, the hail sizes, it was amazing. Debris signature now, only on News 9. The tornado just started. Our radar's telling us we have debris in the air. It's picking up. When you have 1,000,000 watts, that's a lot of power. This is going to be a big tornado, folks. The speed is fast, the resolution. It's spinning hard and fast. We can see if it's rotating. We can see if it's just damaging winds. Look how very clear this has been. Look where this has been, right? I think it performed above and beyond really what I expected. To have this radar data live with no delay, you know, I think that's the game changer coming up this spring again. Your safety is our #1 job. That's why here at News 9, we have the largest and most experienced team of meteorologists in the entire country. Cassie Hager takes us behind the scenes. Large tornado on the ground, right here, going right down 152.
Everybody has a very important role within the weather team, and it's all very important to make it work the way it does. It's kind of a controlled chaos sometimes, if you will.
Damaging hailstorm right now in Elk City.
So if you are in the path of this storm, you have to be in your storm shelter.
I'm really excited about my role. I'm definitely taking on a much bigger role, more responsibility this year. So I'm going to be helping run the radar, and sometimes, you know, I'll be on the wall as well, just kind of being the backup for David. David's on the wall for so many hours at a time, and he can only go so long. Sometimes he needs to catch a breath once in a while, so that's when I come in.
Robin, can you get a storm track on that?
Yeah, let's figure out where that is headed off to the northeast.
Robin King, our newest meteorologist, she's going to be on my side and kind of doing what I was doing last year. So she's going to help do storm tracks and watch for storm reports and viewer pictures and all that kind of thing.
Let me look, Marty.
Justin, he's got a really big responsibility as well. He's got to manage, or help manage at least, a ton of storm trackers.
Hank, your storm is still strengthening to your north.
He's watching the radar. He's also watching their GPS and watching the map. Matt Mahler's also in the background a lot. He is the one that's usually helping to do social media. A lot of times people get their information on Facebook and on Twitter and on our app. Well, he's responsible for putting that information out there. If we do have a big storm that's coming in during the overnight hours and into the next morning, Jed will definitely be there to help cover that. We obviously have the biggest team of storm trackers and meteorologists there is in the entire country. Being a part of it, it's amazing.
Whether we are forecasting sunshine or severe weather, it takes a lot of knowledge and experience to work in this state. News 9's newest meteorologist, Robin King, shows us what it takes to forecast weather in Oklahoma.
We've got that fog dominating across the Oklahoma City area. We get bitten by the weather bug at a pretty young age. And I remember in 8th grade, I made a How to Become a Meteorologist book, and I had looked up all the colleges that I needed to pursue, what classes in high school I had to take. And I remember one meteorologist saying, you realize we take as much math and science as an engineer. It was overwhelming at first, but once you start getting into it, you get the fire. I graduated with a bachelor's degree in meteorology and minor in math, and then I also, last year, I received my AMS certification for broadcast meteorology, so my CBM. I am so excited to work with the meteorology team that we have here, both behind the scenes in the studio, also the storm chasers. That, I think, is one of the best tools that we have here in Oklahoma City, is the storm chasers that can get out in the field, and that just, we all work together, and the magic, I'm so excited to be a part of that.
Incredible video of an EF2 tornado plowing through the south side of Elk City. It's only on News 9 after this break. Plus, we're on the scene in Elk City to see how this neighborhood is recovering.
Tornado on the ground. Mouse Junction, tornado on the ground.
followed it on up towards Winoka.
Got debris on the highway.
This was sheets of something, a roof or plywood. It circled around. You can see it in the film.
We are about 1 mile from that storm.
As far as the strength, probably a F2, something like that.
This thing is just inching to the north, just crawling.
It dissipated right before it got to Winoka because we were afraid that it was going to hit the town. Luckily, it lifted.
All right, folks, take a look at this incredible video exclusively only on News 9 as the tornado is coming into the southern sides of Elk City. The wind going from left to right. The tornado coming in from the west. The wind switches directions as the tornado is passing overhead. And look at all the debris. This is, again, a very strong EF2 tornado. Winds approaching 135 miles per hour. And yes, that is a vehicle being launched in the air by that EF2 tornado that was ripping through the southern sides of Elk City. Absolutely incredible. Nearly a year later, a lot of rebuilding has been happening in Elk City. Meteorologist Justin Rudisell is on the story.
I just can't even hardly picture it.
Karen Snyder looks out over what used to be her neighborhood of more than 20 years and her home now reduced to this concrete slab.
This is it. This was the garage.
As she walks through the empty room, she remembers when an EF2 tornado nearly took more than her home.
You folks in Elk City need to keep an eye on this.
I went to my safe room when it sounded like it was getting close.
For sure, it's on the ground. I can see multiple vortex at times.
So I walked in to the bathroom, the front bathroom, shut the door, and that was it. It hit.
Her neighborhood took a direct hit and leveled her home.
First bathroom was here. This is where I was trapped.
Bob Mills, Sky News 9 flew overhead as emergency responders worked to free her from the rubble.
I couldn't move. There wasn't room in there to move anyway, and nobody could get in there.
Finally, they get her out and carried her to safety.
And I just felt blessed, and still do to this day, that I made it out alive.
Karen's home was among more than 60 homes and businesses damaged or destroyed in the storm. And now, nearly 1 year later, many are rebuilding.
It was devastating.
David Dyson lost his home, and like many of his neighbors, is building from scratch.
It's starting to look more like a neighborhood again. Western Oklahoma folks are resilient, and we're going to overcome this thing, and we're going to be better for it.
On the scene, on the story, meteorologist Justin Rudisell, News 9.
Well, we are headed now into an active weather pattern. My spring weather and tornado forecast is next.
There's the wall cloud northwest of Chester.
Got smaller, it got bigger. Then all of a sudden, the rotation really tightened up.
Guys, this looks like a wedge. David, I'm going to estimate it's going to be an AF3, maybe a little bit stronger.
The debris cloud continued to get stronger and stronger, and then the funnel cloud appeared.
Oh my God.
Fortunately, the tornado really did not hit any major structures, no injuries, no fatalities, and that is what we like to see when we have to track tornadoes.
All right, everybody, it's time for my spring forecast for 2018. It's hard to believe that spring is just around the corner. And looking back at what we called for last year, yeah, we were talking about above average tornadoes. We said we would have an active spring with more tornadoes than normal. And boy, did we. Look at May of last year, 57 tornadoes in the month of May alone in Oklahoma. And during an average spring, we normally see about 47 tornadoes. Last spring, in those 4 months in there, we saw 72 tornadoes in Oklahoma. This winter, we just ended winter. The bottom line is it was heavily influenced by the La Nina weather pattern. That's when the central and eastern Pacific Ocean are cooler than normal. Lots of cool water down here develops, and that plays a huge role in our weather pattern, not just here in Oklahoma, but across the globe. So this past winter, strong jet stream coming out of Western Canada. It was cold and wet to our east, to our north. We had some Arctic air off and on, but overall, winter here, as promised, it was dry until we got into the end of February, where we started to see some of that moisture, some of that rain. It was good. All right, so this past winter was heavily influenced by La Nina. But the latest data is that we think that La Nina will gradually weaken and fade away as we get into spring. But the La Nina will have a tendency, the effects will hang over into spring in Oklahoma. Now, our spring weather setup will be big trough for a big storm system will set up out west. We'll get the strong jet stream coming up and over Oklahoma, and that will give us our wet season, our rainy season, but also that will give us, well, the threat for severe weather off and on. So during a normal spring, from March, April, May into June, on average, once again, we see about 47 tornadoes in Oklahoma. So let's compare, well, normal springs versus the spring that we're going to be in, and that's going to be a spring influenced by a weak La Nina. All right, we got to go back to the mid-50s, to 1955, to as recent as 2009. And for those years, the tornado numbers were down, especially May, on average about 37 tornadoes compared to a normal year of 47 tornadoes. So the tornado count, or the tornado numbers, were down nearly 21% during a weak La Nina spring in Oklahoma. Our spring forecast: average precipitation here in Oklahoma, that's still not bad. Below average, though, in our panhandle, northwestern, far western Oklahoma. I think the drought will hang on a little longer there. And as far as the temperatures go, for spring, above average for much of Oklahoma and much above average in the west. So our 2018 spring forecast, to sum it up: above average temperatures for all of us. The drought continues for western and far northwestern Oklahoma. Near normal rainfall for the rest of us. Some drought improvement, slightly above average on the tornadoes for March and especially April. Below average for May and June. The bottom line is below average tornadoes overall, with summer heat arriving early as we get into late May and early June. A lot going on. As always, stay with News 9. We'll keep you advised. Make sure you opt in for alerts on your News 9 app and News 9 weather app to get severe weather updates. Also follow me and News 9 on Facebook and Twitter. I'll keep you up to date every day on weather across Oklahoma live on Facebook. Thank you for joining us for Ahead of the Storm. We'll see you back here tonight for News 9 at 10 o'clock.
Ahead of the Storm has been presented by Oz Safe Rooms.